Hello and welcome everybody. Now this is hopefully going to be a very useful video for a lot of you. The success of my how to get the best settings on your computer for Empire Total War is, I believe, possibly one of my highest rated or highest viewed videos on my channel to date. So I thank everyone that found that video useful, and I'm hoping just as many of you will find this video useful. With the Creative Assembly's latest incarnation of the Total War series, Shogun 2, despite what some people believe that it would be more optimized, it is in fact, in some cases yes it is, but in many cases, well, there is no doubt about it, it is their most graphically demanding, most intensive game to date. Even more so than Empire Total War, which is still badly optimized, I find. Napoleon out of the series is probably the best optimized for lower end systems, but what I'm going to go over, hopefully quite briefly, is what you can do on Shogun 2 if you don't have a top end graphics card, or if maybe you do have a highest graphics card and you're struggling to get smooth FPS while retaining sort of settings that make it look that sort of as good. Now, well, I can't go through every single possible configuration, because to be honest, a lot about this is finding the settings that work for you. Most people will have slightly different systems. Yes, of course, some people will have the same card and similar processors at similar speeds, but I still find that pretty much most PCs are different, even if they've got exactly the same hardware. Some people have different screens, etc., and some people have different tastes and preferences. So pretty much I'd say everybody should approach this differently. You've got to find the best settings that work for you. So what I'm going to go over in this video is going to be quite broad, but hopefully that will allow it to encompass most of you. Now, if you are lucky enough to have a high-end graphics card, please don't sort of turn your nose up at this video, because there are plenty of people that can't afford high-end graphics cards and that would like a video like this. So I'm gonna get started now. But anyway, there is and a couple of things I will say are going to be controversial. Some people will not agree with me, some people will disagree, but I have found through my own testing that they do yield performance increases. That may not be the same for you. Again, you have to try and tweak. First thing I'd say is that if you do have a DirectX 11 enabled card, but say it's a low-end one, like one of the low-end ATI 5000 series graphics cards, so something like a 5450, it is DirectX 11 compatible, but it is not powerful enough to run DirectX 11 on any sort of high settings. I would then suggest that you turn straight down to DirectX 9. Of course, those settings will be applied once you restart, as it says there. So I would suggest you go down to DirectX 9. Now, some people are instantly going to go, oh, no, that's going to actually handicap your card. I found it that on my laptop, which has ATI Mobility 5870, now that is sadly nothing near the performance of the desktop counterpart of the 5870. The Mobility 5870 is pretty much the same as a desktop 5770, pretty much. 5770 can run Shogun 2 on sort of high settings, but not at sort of a full HD resolution. I run at 1920 by 1080. This is obviously with my GTX 570. So I would suggest that if you've got a low-end card, try turning it down to DirectX 9. If you don't have DirectX 11 and a DirectX 11 card, so like one of the 200 series graphics cards from Nvidia, or lower even, turn it down to DirectX 9. Now some of you go, oh, but I do actually have the option to use DirectX 10, which would be Shader Model 4 or Shader Model 4.1. Give them a go if you want, but if you are struggling, it's perfect. It looks perfectly good on Shader Model 3 High. And that will be, of course, in DirectX 9 mode. Make sure you do that. Now, there are, with the latest DirectX 11 patch, I don't know if this was before or possibly after that, but I have found, but many people have reported that Ultra settings are bugged. That's why if you look at my settings now, these are the settings I record and play with. I have very few Ultra settings. That's because several of them are, well, actually I do have quite a few Ultra settings, but some of the key ones which you expect to be Ultra settings are on high, in fact, such as texture quality and unit detail. Unit detail on Ultra is definitely bugged. or if not, it draws way too much out of your system for it to be usable. If I set Ultra, I get massive lag in melee combat. I mean, I'm dropping into teens here. And with the GTX 570, I wouldn't really expect that. I'd expect sort of still playable FPS, and it gets laggy, especially when I'm recording as well. Then it pretty much goes into sort of about 10 to 15 FPS, which does lag quite badly. So I have it set at high. Quite a lot of people say set it at medium because even high is slightly unoptimized. I find that on my card can cope with high quite well, and also the units look quite nice, and also the bodies don't disappear on the floor. But if you are struggling with a low-end card, but you still want your units to look nice, set it to medium. It changes the draw distance that your units are drawn, but when you zoom in, they will still look very nice. So set it to medium or high if your card's sort of that middle to high mid-range. Anti-Aliasing, you can see I've got none enabled. That's because I don't particularly see the difference between. I got so used to playing Shogun with no anti-aliasing while we're waiting for the DirectX 11 patch that I don't actually need it anymore. If I do, I have it set to 2 times, which I occasionally do to sharpen it up a bit. Actually, I do tend to turn it off just for recording. I do then re-enable it for when I'm gaming myself, but for now I just leave it off. I leave it on none. You can of course enable MLAA, which for those of you that don't have a DirectX 11 compatible card, that will be your only option, MLAA. So you can use it, but to be honest, I find that it's not too bad without any, so I just leave it at none, to be honest. Texture filtering doesn't do too much, particularly whatever setting you have it on. If you want to though, you can set it down to trilinear and see if that gives you a few extra FPS. It might just do. Texture quality, I would recommend having it on high. Again, Ultra seems a little bit buggy at the moment, especially with anti-aliasing settings for some people. I personally haven't had this option, this error, as it were, this bug, but I would suggest you try turning it down to high if you're going to try and crank it up. Particle effects, I have, as far as I know, Ultra is fine for it, so you can leave it at that. But again, turning it down to high or medium will yield a performance boost. Now, shadows. Now, this is probably one of the biggest sort of bugged options. If you have it, I'd say above medium, well, above low, to be honest, you're going to see quite a huge hit on your settings. If I set it on Ultra, then just scanning across the battlefield, I get lag, which is ridiculous. It shouldn't be happening. So I have it on low. Some people turn it off. Now I do get a massive boost when I have shadows off. I mean, I'm jumping about 20 to 30 FPS more, which means I can zoom right into melee, and even recording with Fraps, and it doesn't even budge at all. It is remarkable the FPS hit that turning shadows on has. On low, I find that shadows still there, so you still have definition into your units. When you turn it off, you lose the definition. That's what I find. So if you still want to make it, again, this video is about still retaining sort of good quality, good visuals, while boosting. So try it on low first. If you're still struggling with FPS, turn it off completely. See if you can get used to playing the game looking like that, and also see what the FPS boost is like. Grass. For all my Total War games, I rarely have it above low. Sometimes I have it off completely. Generally I have it on low for most of them, because grass is a big FPS, taxing FPS hit. Trees. In the old Total War games, they were quite a hit as well. I haven't found them to be so much. Again, you can dabble though, Ultra to high to medium, I'd say, and they'll still look pretty nice. Trees do look quite nice in this game, I must admit. Water. Again, if you're playing lots of naval, I'd recommend turning it down to medium or even low if you're struggling. And sky. I've never found this too much of a bother, but again, Ultra or high, and just see what it does. Terrain quality, I leave it on high, to be honest. But again, pretty much, if you are struggling, focus on. I'll finish this up before I'll go on to some focus points that you should try, because otherwise you're just going to say to me, "Oh, you pretty much just told me to lower everything." Well, that pretty much is the basic way. You lower everything and slowly tweak up and see what your performance is like. But I will tell you some key areas to target once I round up this video, that you should try first, and if they aren't helping, or if they aren't lowering it enough, then you need to start lowering other settings. But anyway, I have HDR enabled, which is light bloom. You can turn this off. This should give you probably about maybe 5 extra FPS. Vignette is the new lighting effects system. Personally, I haven't seen much of an FPS hit, if at all, with it, to be honest. But you can turn both these off for a small FPS increase. I wouldn't bother with SAO, that is quite a large hit. I don't even bother with tessellation, even though I've got DirectX 11, because again it's a hit to your performance, and as much as I do spend plenty of time looking at my units and stuff like that, I don't spend enough time to really go, oh look, that stone looks really 3D and not indented or anything like that. Soft shadows, don't bother with that either. Vertical synchronization, only turn that on if you've got tearing on your screen, so if you're moving around and the screen sort of getting, it looks like the screen's sort of being cut in half briefly and then snapping back into place, then maybe enable that and see what you get. I don't bother with distortion effects either, and I don't bother with depth of field, you can see that's off. So anyway, the target points that you should focus on when you're first approaching this is your DirectX mode. I would suggest have a go. Now, not for some people, there may be a performance drop because your card may be better optimized to running on low DirectX 11 settings than it will do on sort of medium to high DirectX 9 settings. But I have personally found that dropping down to DirectX 9 yields quite a significant boost and is not detrimental to your card. Key areas to focus on those shadows. Low or off, I would recommend. Even for those of you who've got high cards, I would shove them right down to low now and look at the FPS boost you get, because it's quite remarkable. And also for those of you that maybe aren't interested in trying this at all, but just turn shadows off and just see what try one battle and see the FPS boost. Unit detail, I would remember anyone that has it on ultra, whack it down to high right now because it is bugged and it is poorly unoptimized. So you're going to get quite a heavy FPS hit there. Anti-Aliasing, again, this is controversial. So many people have been waiting for it since the DirectX 11 patch. Some people say it doesn't even work. Well, I've got proof, to be honest, that in all mine that it does work quite nicely, but I don't personally see much of a difference above 2 times. So if you're going to use it, have it 2 times, or try MLAA, or even set it to none and see if you can live with a couple of jagged edges. But seeing as I play at such a high resolution, I don't actually notice them that much. Particle effects, not so important. Depth of field, turn that off. Shader model. If you're not running DirectX 11, I would recommend you whack it right down to Shader Model 3 high and run on DirectX 9 mode. If you've got DirectX 10 enabled card, try 4 or 4.1 if it's available to you. And that is pretty much it. Now, if you're probably wondering how can I check my FPS in game, you can download the free version of Fraps from www.fraps.com. And while recording with that only allows you 30-second clips and puts a watermark on your videos, the Fraps running in the top left-hand corner that you see in my benchmark videos is free to use, and there's no negative effect of using that. So you can run that at the top left-hand on your screen by just downloading and installing the trial version of Fraps, and it will run very nicely for you. You can see your FPS increase. Again, obviously, another focus point I should probably say is your resolution. But I often find that this is kind of a last-ditch attempt when you change your settings, because for some people, changing your resolution down does make everything a bit fuzzy and out of proportion. So you can try pushing your resolution down. That will yield a significant FPS boost for you as well if you really are struggling. But again, Shogun 2, unlike Napoleon, is not that well optimized for lower end systems, but I'm hoping that what I've gone over in this video will help. So just key points to remember: unit detail, shadows, grass, turn them to, well, turn unit detail to high at the very least, if not lower. Do not have it on ultra. Shadows, have it on low or off. If you must have shadows, have it on low. And grass, if you must have grass, leave it on low, because then it puts, basically what grass does by changing the settings, it changes how much grass is rendered within sort of the area you're looking at on your screen. So if you look down at the battlefield, sort of maximum zoomed out, if you have your grass set to ultra, you will see sort of little bits of grass all around your initial field of view. If you have it on low, then you won't see so much until you zoom in, and you'll see little smaller patches. Think of it as like a circle with loads of circles within circles. Lowest being the tiniest circle, and sort of quite close in, and then as you increase to medium, high, and ultra, the circles get wider and bigger, and that's sort of how far the grass is rendered outward. So yes, those are the key settings. I hope this video you found it useful, if not confusing. And please, as always, comment, rate, subscribe, thumb up this video, because I hope it's been very useful for you. Do let me know what you think in the comments, and if you have any questions about how to tweak your settings, or you would like me to recommend some settings to try, or if you're still struggling, then do let me know. Also, I should note, always make sure you kind of got the latest graphics drivers for your graphics card. If they aren't working, let me know, because I might know of some versions that do work better for your card. Again, also, if you are commenting below and saying that you want some help sort of configuring your settings, let me know your graphics cards and the rest of your processor, your RAM, what operating system you're running, XP, Windows 7, and yes, all that jazz. As always, hope you enjoyed. Comment, rate, subscribe, thumb up this video, and I'll see you guys Saturday. Following this video up should be my new Napoleon Total War part, and I hope you enjoy it. These videos will have been uploaded quite late though, so I do apologise. It'll probably be it'll probably be Saturday morning before you guys see these, but I hope you enjoy them. See you.